I reckon I'm in trouble tonight. Everyone on the panel, joining you in a moment, is a defence lawyer, except for me, so I don't know what I've done. Coffee's an offence sometimes. They'll be discussing these issues. My rates have gone up and up and up and up and up, even though the property value has gone down and down and down and down and down, and councils keep spending. He wants to, you know what's going on there. Helium-filled balloons, wasn't it wonderful? Do you remember when? Streamers, reams of paper, ribbons, mega-sized birthday candles. Not helping global warming, is it? But it's a kid's birthday party. And the final issue tonight, it really just isn't news anymore, is it? It's all infotainment. And it really is dumbing down our unsuspecting population. What are we going to do about it? We'll see what the legal eagles have got to say coming up right now. Don't go away, sweet and sour.
Got a problem, big or small, would a miracle be nice? Our motley crew is back, churning out advice. You might even laugh a bit in the following half hour. Park your backside on the couch, cause baby it's time for Sweet and Sour. Right here on Sweet and Sour. It's time for Sweet and Sour. It's time for Sweet and Sour.
Good evening, everyone. Lovely to have your company. Welcome to Sweet and Sour. Gary Mitchell with you for another chat-filled half hour. Who's on the panel tonight? A host of legal eagles. First up, hello, Anthony.
Hello, Gary.
Nice to have you here, mate, for the first time. What are you specialising in?
Mostly civil litigation with a bit of wills and estate and family law.
Are you busy?
Very busy.
Always busy. You have to say that because the boss is sitting on the other side of the panel. Carolyn, welcome.
Thank you.
Nice
very
to have
much.
you. Now, what do you specialise in?
I specialise in criminal law and litigation.
Oh, you do all the Perry Mason stuff, do you?
I like to think I do.
Criminal law, wow. Is criminal law, as I think it is, the hardest bit of law?
It can be. It can be, absolutely.
How do you find it?
Look, it's every case is different. It's, sometimes very, very exciting and sometimes, not so exciting.
And sometimes not so exciting. Good to have you here. Arfa, lovely to have you here tonight.
Hi.
What do you specialise in?
Civil litigation, bit of employment, bit of wills and estates, bit of personal injuries.
You're a bitser. You do everything.
Yep.
Wow. Do you love it? Mm-hmm. Okay, now tell me this. Of everything that you learnt about the law at university, how much of that do you use on a day-by-day basis?
Almost none.
Almost none?
Yeah.
Do you know what? I have some lawyers in my family and they told me very similarly.
Same thing, yeah.
5% max. Is that a standard? You use 5%? Hello, Jono. Welcome to the show again, mate. Thank you for bringing all your mates in tonight.
Love having the whole firm here.
5% maximum of what you use.
I found it to be a bit more because I listened very well at law school and I believe I learned a lot while I was there. I wasn't at the university tavern.
Yes, you were. I've heard stories about your time at university. Thank you very much. All of them were from you.
That must be true then.
Must be true. Welcome, Jono. Here we go. Letter 1. Dear panellists, I'll make this very short. Every council in Australia needs to be sacked and we need to start again. Councils need to prioritise delivering services to their area as cost effectively as possible. Instead, we see them building monstrous council chambers with councillors taking huge salaries or allowances and building almost untouchable political fiefdoms that cost a fortune to run. I can see Anthony over there nodding his head in agreement. I'm sick of it. My rates have gone up and up even when the value of property has gone down and down in the last few years. My council had the nerve to tell me when I complained that the rates will come down in the next review because the current revaluations will kick in next year. It's a total lie. When the GFC hit, my property value halved. The following year and then all subsequent years, my rates grew and continued to do so. I've committed myself to much community service. It has nothing to do with receiving payment. Councillors must no longer be paid. We also need to ensure that councils are subject to efficiency targets and be sacked if they aren't met. Do the panellists have more suggestions on how to kill the behemoths that councils have become? Nick, suburb withheld for obvious reasons in South Australia. Anthony, first to you. You were sitting there, I saw you going, yep, you agree with Nick.
Largely I do. I think councils have become there's too many snaps in the trough. I think former Premier Colin Barnett had it right when he tried to amalgamate councils, larger councils, less councillors, more efficiency. I think it's the best way to go.
I think so too. Carolyn, are you going to echo those sentiments as well?
Absolutely. I mean, they rates go up, what, on average 3% every year. Salaries don't go up 3% every
And property
year.
values go down. They're supposed to be on rental values,
Yeah,
aren't they?
absolutely. And we're all told, you know, to economise and, you know, make our money go further. Well, if we have to do it, why doesn't council have to do it? It just doesn't seem fair. And I don't know a time when valuations have been connected with rates and rates have gone down. They always go up.
Wow.
It is one of those
Well,
things.
that's right. Even though it says at the top of your rate notice, rateable value, when has it ever been reflected? When has there ever been a downward rates collection? When have you ever collected less? I don't know. We've got a former mayor sitting at the end of the panel. We'll get to him in a little bit later. First, Arfa, are you paying council rates?
I don't pay council rates.
Have you got an opinion on this?
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
That's valid?
I think everyone would agree to this.
It's like
Councils
free
are-
beer, isn't it? We don't want to pay council rates. But it's not really, because it's real and they do go up and up and up and up. And I look at a lot of council situations and celebrations and you just think, well, where's the value for me in any of that? Why council... And I did walk through, as this chap here says, a council chamber in Victoria, which, and I could not believe how much money they'd spent on it and how empty it was inside, all these beautiful long corridors. It was like Parliament House, and that started me thinking, my goodness. Sorry, I cut you off. Tell me what your views are on council.
That's okay. No, I 100% agree, and I agree that all these extravagant expenses, they really need to be looked at, and they need to be certain targets, certain restrictions in place. They just can't go on doing whatever they like, spending whatever they like.
Former Mayor of Cottesloe, wrap it up for us. What do you say about
Well,
this?
the
Are we
first-
being mean?
No, you're not being mean, but the first thing I want to say, Gary, is this is the best letter that's ever been written to Sweet and Sour. So the person who wrote this, well done.
Nick,
it's
South
beautifully
Australia.
written. All the points you make are valid. Some of the things, I could talk about this for hours, but I won't, because I know we've got other stories to hear and to answer. But I would cut down the number of councillors that sit around the council table making decisions by around about 50% at every council. So you'd go from 10 councillors to 5 or 8 to 4. I think in some cases you only need 2 or 3. So that'd get rid of all the council salaries. There would be no meals of any sort available to any councillors. And one of the worst things that happens in councils is they commission reports about what colour the paving should be in the town centre. Now, those reports often cost 5, 10, 15. I was on council when we were spending up to $50,000 per report. The reports would get shelved, they'd be out of date, and we'd do them again.
Oh.
So I always kept on saying, why doesn't someone pick up a spade and do something rather than spend it on consultants?
So it's time.
So
Who does it? Who's going to do it? Who can do it?
Who can do what?
Is it the ratepayer that needs to demand greater
Well,
action,
I
or
think
is it
the great
state
thing about
MPs?
local councils, though, is the ratepayers can get involved and they can get elected to sit around the council table. So there is just so much that can be done. Not to mention statues, monuments, all that sort of thing.
I agree.
Get rid
We
of it.
asked our viewers at home this question and they answered it for us. Should councils and councillors around the nation be made more accountable and efficient for the benefit of their ratepayers? Here's what you said. 100% of people said yes. There was not a single no in there. Wow. So, do you think most councillors would also agree to that proposition as well? Or
No, they wouldn't, because they can't see outside the council
Can't see
chamber
outside.
or the dining room.
or the dining room? When we come back, we're going to be talking about chronic consumption, even at a kid's birthday party. Don't go away. More of our Legal Eagles after the break. See you then. Coffee time.
Right here on Sweet and Sour.
Pour some sugar on there, baby.
It's time for Sweet and Sour.
How's about some chili?
It's time for Sweet and Sour.
Welcome back to Sweet and Sour. If you would like to send us a letter and have our panellists rip it to shreds. Send it here at one of these 5 contact points. There it is. Social media will land it on our desk, and for every letter that does land here, and we do discuss, we're going to send you to the movies courtesy of Natalie Cameron and NRC Communications, and the movie we're sending you to this week is called The Nightingale. Hello there, sweet and sour. It doesn't apply to us in Australia, does it? Oh, sure, we happily chat the chat in our coffee shops where we gather after we've dropped the kids off at school or gather for morning tea with our toddlers in tow. But the conversation on reducing waste, preserving the planet and keeping an eye on global warming is apparently only that conversation. My girls, aged 6 and 4, happily attended a 5th birthday party. Well, if education has to start at that tender age, someone forgot to tell the parents of the party girl. We had helium-filled balloons, streamers, reams and reams of wrapping paper and ribbons, mega-sized birthday candles, incredible lighting decorations. There were plastic and electronic toys everywhere, and it was obscene. Every child left the party with a huge bag of goodies. I made the mistake of whispering to my best friend that the party might be a bit excessive, and she gave me a look like I was the devil. Am I wrong here? Should we not be setting good examples for the kids? I have a party of my own for my eldest coming up in a couple of months. Any suggestions on the direction I should take? Cheryl of Armidale in Victoria. Yeah, Armidale's a well-heeled suburb in Victoria. John, tell me,
Well,
to spoil the kids or not to spoil the kids?
my view is don't spoil them.
Don't spoil them.
By way of anecdote, I had a friend who had bought so many toys for her kids that they needed a rake. They had to rake the carpet of all the toys into a corner. And it was just waste.
Waste.
And I think this is going way too far, that we need to stop buying all this plastic rubbish that is fouling the environment.
Yeah.
And kids should go back to basics, and we discussed this in the break, ice cream cakes with Smarties on top.
As long as you don't put your foot
Not
in the
very
ice
healthy.
cream cake,
As
right?
long as you don't put your foot in the cake.
That's what he did at a birthday party, was kicked out.
Yeah, I was only 6.
Can't believe it. Only 6 and they had to get the bouncers onto you then.
Yeah, but my plea to parents is get rid of all the rubbish, get rid of all
And kids
the
don't need it.
plastic. They don't need it.
Oh, I don't think they need
Yeah.
it. I mean, when I was a kid and I went to a birthday party, I was delighted to be there and be playing the games. I didn't need
Pin the
rubbish.
tail on the donkey.
Pin the tail on the donkey.
Pass the parcel.
Yeah, wrapped in newspaper. Wrapped in newspaper. Does this sound familiar or alien to you?
No, it's familiar. I mean, I think birthday celebrations are one thing, and that's kind of separates the celebration. But there's an important issue in here, and that's reducing waste. I think that's a big thing that really everyone should be doing every day, little steps. Reducing waste is important. And if that includes birthday parties, then that's fine. But it's really the daily thing that we need to focus on.
I pick up other people's rubbish every day, but I do. It's just something that I
we
do.
all should be
Happy
doing.
to do it. Do you think though the girls aged 6 and 4 and all their mates are too young to learn this lesson?
No, it's never too young. If the parents are doing it, the kids are going to see them doing it, and they're going to pick it up. It's going to be natural.
My niece and nephew don't eat junk food, and they don't eat junk food because as kids they never ate junk food. So now, as young adults, almost in their 30s, they will not eat junk food. They don't want it.
Yeah.
Teach them early, and it's
Start young.
good habits. Stay with them. Come on, Carolyn.
Well, I'm totally against all of you. Look, these are kids. These kids, you know, are only young for a certain time. I know John can't remember what it was like to be a kid. However, they have this short window. And for goodness sakes, let them have fun. Let them enjoy their streamers, their helium balloons. They're going to grow up and have the weight of the world on their shoulders like we all have at the moment. So let them enjoy these parties. I don't think it's teaching them the wrong lessons. It's once a year birthday party.
Once a year? Those kids get invited every week to a
Their
party.
own birthday party.
Oh, their own?
Oh, for goodness sakes, let them have cake.
Hang on, there's a presumption there that spoiling them rotten means they're having fun, and taking it away from them or not presenting it to them means they won't have fun.
No.
There are other ways to have fun. We just said that's what we did when we
You're going to
grew up.
serve them steamed Brussels sprouts, are you?
Well, you can. There's nothing wrong with that. I would see. Well, you don't know my predisposition to food, but yes, I'd serve them Brussels sprouts. But I wouldn't necessarily shower them with so much rubbish.
And giving them sugar comas.
And they all got a big plastic bag to take home.
Sensational. Come on, let's have these one-off celebrations occasionally.
Anthony, what do you want to do? Do you want to spoil the kids with absolute rubbish, or do you want to be more sensible about it?
Well, I think the kids are Cheryl's friends. They're going to grow up to be a bit of spoiled brats, I think, at this stage, with the way that they're being showered with party goods. But it's kind of two questions in one. The other part is that the war on plastic. I'm getting sick of the war on plastic. I love my plastic. I think.
Are you a responsible plastic owner?
I'm a responsible plastic owner. I dispose of my plastic responsibly in the bin accordingly, and it feels like I'm being punished for the actions of a few that want to litter it on the ground.
How are you? How are you being punished though?
Well, when I go to see my movies, I now get given a paper straw, which by the end of my Avengers Endgame had disintegrated into pulp, so I couldn't enjoy the rest of my Coke.
Don't you feel good though, knowing that your paper straw won't finish in a turtle's neck?
Instead, it fishes down my stomach because I drank half of it. It's awful.
We asked you at home to answer this question for us. Should parties for children now be considerate of global warming concerns? Here's what you said. 60% said yes. 40% still want to party with these two over here. When we come back, we're going to be talking about our media laws. Don't go away. More of Sweet and Sour and media law discussion coming up after the break. See you then.
Right here on Sweet and Sour. It's time for Sweet and Sour. It's time for Sweet and Sour.
Yeah, it's terrific. Welcome back to Sweet and Sour. Here we go with the last letter of the evening. Hello, panellists. Our media laws changed years ago in a blink, and now we have to suffer infotainment saturating our print media and electronic media masquerading as news. It really just isn't news anymore. It's all just a not so obvious sales funnel, and because of the absence of real news, it's dumbing down our unsuspecting population. In WA, I'm sure we will also soon see the name of the state capital up for corporate sponsorship. It's already preceded by a big number 7 in some well-heeled circles. Oh yes, I get it. It's a catastrophe that no one wants to talk about it. In WA, every newspaper is owned by one corporation, which also owns the largest TV broadcaster. The pervasiveness of this corporate rebranding struck me as I arrived at the domestic airport to read "Welcome to West Australia." I was embarrassed that the relevant authorities had succumbed to the subtle corporate push. The state's name is Western Australia, and those who live here are called Western Australian. The West Australian is a newspaper, for heaven's sake. So is it too late? Can we change media ownership laws back? What else can we do? This media monopoly is so clearly, utterly culturally destructive, and it comes to us from Alistair of Clarkson in WA. Carolyn, how do you view our media laws and what's happening in WA?
Well, I don't think, I'm just going to attack on here the Welcome to West Australia. I mean, we do say Western Australia, that's the correct title, but West Australia has also become just a norm. I don't think it's got anything to do with
But you're
the
just
media.
used to it, aren't you?
Well, yes, I don't think it's anything to be embarrassed about.
But if you were in New South Wales and you said, I'm a new Southern Welshman,
As people do.
or a Southern Australian, no, they don't.
Yes, they do.
No, they don't.
do.
They don't.
I'm from Tasmania and I'm a Tasmanian. That's nothing wrong with that.
Because you haven't changed the name of the state.
Oh, okay.
You've
Van
changed-
Diemen's Land.
Oh, well, that's like saying we're Swan River colonists, so you can't do that.
But this corporate ownership, I mean, it's just a fact of life. I mean, we've got the new Optus Stadium here in Perth, and people are upset that it's called Optus Stadium, but that brings in revenue and money for that stadium, which cost a lot for it. So I'm sorry, I think it's just part of life.
Dumbing down of life? Dumbing down of news?
It's adding a financial edge to our news.
Mm.
The dollar imperative. Anthony, what news services do you watch?
Oh, definitely not Channel 7. I definitely don't read the West Australian, I can tell you that much. There's
young
a reason
people
why
tend not to. Yeah.
Well, even particularly with the West Australian, there's a reason why my friends call it the worst Australian. It is undoubtedly the worst newspaper in the country, incredibly biased. No reputable journalists work for the West Australia. There's no reputable journalists on Channel 7, particularly Channel 7 Perth. It has no reputation over East. It is awful. And as a female Docker supporter, I can categorically say that that Channel 7 and the West are constantly biased against the female Dockers. They've gone way too hard against Ross Lyon in recent months, recent days. It's awful.
All those viewers in the eastern states listening to your comments are sitting there going, right now. We asked you at home before we asked this side of the panel to answer this question for us. With one corporation in Western Australia owning all the newspapers plus the largest TV station, is it time to tighten the media ownership laws? And here's what you said. 81% of people say it's time to retighten the media ownership laws. Well, they aren't going anywhere in the short term. Okay. Jono, what's going on here?
Well, there's a lot of questions rolled up into this letter. So I'm going to deal with another aspect of the question.
He's making up his own.
and that is, should all these stadiums and outlets be corporately sponsored? And I think we would get much better revenue coming into Perth if instead of Optus Stadium it was called Stadium WA or Stadium Perth. To me that has much more grunt. I mean, the WACA, the West Australian Cricket Association, that was a really definable venue that people spoke very highly of. The
They wanted to
pitch.
come to it. It was a destination.
That's right. But
Like the Gabba?
Subiaco Oval, I think that meant something to people. But not only, the corporates also changed the names of these stadiums all the time. So now I've got something called Marvel Stadium. I'm not even sure where
Where's
it is.
that?
It's over, I think it's the old Etihad.
It is.
And no one will be able to tell me what the Geelong Stadium's now called, GSHB or something. So it would be better to have it as Geelong Stadium. So I'm opposed to selling the names of these stadiums to corporate entities, and I'd much rather see them named after where they are.
Arfa.
Like Wimbledon, the classic example.
Shut your
There's
box up
my
and come
case.
on in, cut him off. And
I'm with Carolyn on this. I think it's just a part of life. Like, it's the way of the future. Corporate sponsorships, these things, they're going to happen.
But you're accepting it.
Yeah,
You're
why
accepting
not?
it. Are you
It's not a
accepting it
big
as a good
deal.
thing or a bad thing or a nothing? You don't think anything of it?
It doesn't really matter. I mean,
Not
at
to
the end
you.
of the day, not to me. And
What
at
about the news services that are being dumbed down?
Yeah, I think that's important. And then really, if media laws do change, I think an important thing is transparency. Because so often they're ads and you don't know it. It's pretending to be news, but it's an ad.
But it's an ad.
Yeah.
Guess what? Hear that music? Means we've got to go. Thank you for all your participation on the panel tonight. Nice to have you here, Anthony.
Thank you.
Carolyn, did you enjoy it?
Absolutely.
Terrific, feisty. We'll have you back. We like that sort of thing, especially when the boss is here. That was really good. You gave it to Arfa, it was great to have you here.
It's great to be here.
Jono, always terrific, mate.
Yeah, sorry for being a fun sponge.
You can be that. Thank all of our wonderful panellists on tonight's show. Thank all of our terrific crew here. And this is where you wave and say good night. Or don't lawyers do that?
We can do that. Not normally.
Good night, Australia. Thanks for having us in your living room. Good night. You don't do that to judges? Thanks, Judge. Imagine that. That's great, Steve. You're on that thing.